Hey gang, we're back here at Red Rocks Racing Sportsbook for the sports betting podcast Bookends to break down this weekend's pro football divisional round. And again, it seems so weird. No Lions, no Ravens, no Chiefs, no Eagles playing, but a lot of young teams, and there were some great games this weekend. Let's start with the early game on Saturday, Jay, and that was the Bills and the Broncos. Kind of an epic game, the way it went kind of back and forth in that game. The Bills had their chances. Kind of maybe a questionable call. I think everyone I've talked to, it's kind of split 50-50. Was that an interception or was that a completed pass late in the game, which would have put the Bills in a really good spot? But we were huge Bronco fans. Although the number went from the Bills 1.5 industry-wide to the Broncos 1.5 industry-wide, we were clearly Bronco fans in this game. So overall outcome was very positive for our side of the counter.
Yeah, and again, I was shocked by the results. I think I've been saying for the last several weeks that both the Patriots and Broncos, I think the gift of the season and kind of how the AFC played out, I'm kind of shocked that these two teams are still sitting here today. Obviously, the aftermath of this Bills-Broncos game, as much as it was an absolutely fantastic game on the field, to now sit here on Monday morning quarterback, and we have no Bo Nix with the ability to go forward for the Broncos. And now we have no McDermott going forward for the Bills as he was fired today. Two shocking kind of revelations that came out of that. And I'm just personally, the Bills have won, I think, 5 straight AFC championships, and obviously the Patriots overcame them this year, but made the playoffs 5 straight years. And we talked about the Ravens and John Harbaugh being fired after 18 seasons with the Ravens. That there's a certain level of expectation,
Right.
You had to get over that hump. The only thing that was good enough was a Super Bowl
Correct,
win.
yep.
And the Buffalo Bills, I think there's about 25 teams in the National Football League that would take getting to consistently where the Buffalo Bills were. But the fact that you have Josh Allen, and the fact that you're not lifting Lombardi trophies, or at least getting to play for those Lombardi trophies, is clearly not enough in Buffalo. But I think he's going to get scooped up very, very quickly if he chooses to continue coaching. And I don't know that you could put this all on him, on
can't.
Josh
Yeah,
Allen.
you
I mean,
can't.
Josh Allen still threw 2 interceptions in the game, had 2 really, really bad, costly fumbles in the game. But at the same time, we said that the world and the weight of the Buffalo Bills was again on his shoulders with the fact that those receiving cores were banged up.
Yep.
The defensive backs were banged up. There's so much that has to go through to get to a special season. And now we're seeing this all over the place. I mean, all of these AFC playoff teams, the Chargers with their missing offensive linemen, the Texans, missing Collins, missing Schultz. Now we're going to see the Broncos without a quarterback. We saw the Niners with all the guys that they got banged up. It's a long season, and health plays a huge monster role in it. And we see these teams that are falling out of the playoffs. Health has had a ton to do with it. And again, I think for the Buffalo Bills, play on the field is one thing, but again, health for them again potentially cost them the game, and now cost McDermott his coaching there.
I think a lot of it is the expectation level, like you talked about. I think it's a win now league, and the fact that McDermott has had Josh Allen for all these years. They've had their kryptonite, of course, in the Chiefs and not being able to get past Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. They were in the postseason this year. The Bills have had opportunities when they had the best record in the AFC, and everything had to go through Orchard Park and Bills Mafia. This year was going to be on the road, a wild card team. Maybe not as much pressure, but it's hard to put the blame on either one of those two guys. But you have to remember, too, this Buffalo Bill team now, they're moving into a brand new state-of-the-art stadium next year. So it's not going to be Sean McDermott. It's going to be a new coach. I look for him to make pretty much a splash hire here to get somebody that they think can help get Josh Allen to the next level. He's a very talented quarterback. You're in a new stadium, tremendous fan base, and I think he's going to get someone that's going to help them, and I think McDermott will get scooped up by somebody pretty quick.
Yeah, you just wondered, now it's late in the game. We've seen the John Harbaugh get hired by the Giants. We saw Stefanski get hired by Atlanta. What are the other names out there, and are they better than what Sean McDermott was already bringing to the table?
I don't think it's about being better.
It's a change.
I mean,
they needed a change. They wanted a change.
It's a new voice, and I think that's what,
Again, the change there, and the way that they lost, and the way that the things that they've had around Josh Allen to succeed, you can go back to that controversial Cook interception fumble, but still Keon Coleman with some key drops in that game. James Cook, the running back, who had a fantastic season, another monster key fumble as they were in the red zone. So again, all the way to the world on Josh Allen, and came kind of collapsing down on McDermott that they were unable to get it done.
I think it's just that window. You have Josh Allen for now 5 or 6 years, and that expectation level is, hey, we want to win championships here. They had the 4 losses in the Super Bowl with Jim Kelly. You've got Josh Allen right now. We've got to get them to a Super Bowl, and I think that's why they made a change there right now. Although, again, I think Sean McDermott will get scooped up pretty fast. Next one's the Niners-Seahawks game, and the question was, are the Seahawks that good, or do the Niners lay an egg? I think it's a combination of both. I think you look at the Seahawks, the 12th man, that dominant defense, they've just been lights out. The last 8 quarters that the Niners played against the Seahawks, they did not score an offensive touchdown. And I think that screams volumes of how good the Seattle defense is. I know the Niners are really banged up, and at some point, we talked about it, it's going to catch up with you with all those injuries. And they had no Kittle in this spot. But hey, this Seattle team is good, and we always talk about it, right? Offense is fun, and it's electric, but what wins championships? Defense. And this Seattle team has a phenomenal defense, and when you get that 12th man behind you, it is really, really tough for other teams.
Yeah, San Francisco, we talked about it, the injuries, loaded up with injuries on the defensive side. Obviously, Kittle goes down. They have the big win in Philadelphia, and then they have to travel up to Seattle off the bye week. And, of course, right off the bat, we see Rashid Shaheed run the kickoff back, and that's been an incredible acquisition here for the Seahawks.
Great trade.
Get him from the Saints. He single-handedly won them 2 games late in the season with a big return against the Colts, and then the game that they beat the Rams, he was a catalyst in that game as well. So the special teams has played a big role for the Seahawks. Obviously, we went into that game against the Niners with a lot of question marks surrounding the oblique of Sam Darnold, and those question marks are still going to be there this week as we go into the Rams, because he really didn't have to do much. We saw a lot of Kenneth Walker able to run the football, and the defense was outstanding. But there was a big loss in that game for the Seahawks, and Zach Charbonnet, their bigger running back, the guy that they like to use inside the 20s and at the goal line, he's not going to be in this game. And these two teams are very, very familiar with each other, the Rams and the Seahawks. I know we're going to talk about that game, but again, a big, big victory for the Seahawks. And again, the big momentum to be in Seattle, back at home, the way they're playing. But people remember what they saw last, and what they saw last was Seattle looking unbeatable against the Niners.
All right, how about Texans, Patriots? Do the Texans have a C.J. Stroud problem? I'm going to say that I think they do a bit. 2 years ago, he was Rookie of the Year. He's regressed over the last 2 seasons. I know he didn't have Collins in this game, but you have a defense like that, and you just can't turn the ball over. He had 10 turnovers in the last 2 playoff games, and I think they have to make a serious decision. Is he that guy? When your defense is so dominant, you need a quarterback to manage the game, not turn the ball over, and make plays when he has to make plays. He's not doing that right now. So I think when you look at the Texans right now, they really have to think about what they do offensively moving forward.
Yeah, we talk about that panic button, and do you hit it and do you not? And
I'm hitting it a bit.
C.J. Stroud had an atrocious playoff series. I mean, we talk about the first guy ever to have 5 interceptions and 5 fumbles. Yet this team did win 10 games in a row to get themselves back into the playoffs. We are talking about an offense that didn't have Nico Collins.
It's challenged, I know.
Didn't have Joe Mixon all year. You had a rookie running back with Woody Marks to go along with, I think, a 74-year-old Nicholas Chubb. They also lost the other receiver, the rookie receiver that was on the IR. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on.
Tank Dell?
Tank Dell.
Right.
And then Schultz goes out, and we're watching, these backup tight ends that he has that he's trying to throw the football to. So as much as Stroud was bad, to
me it's the turnovers, though.
Yeah, but the infrastructure around him just wasn't there. I mean, we're talking about backup players being on that field, and we're talking about playing in the divisional championships. It's not like you're playing regular season games. You're playing against teams that are in the playoffs, playing at the pinnacle of what we should see from NFL play stuff. We talked about the Chargers just 2 weeks ago, and the same New England Patriots defense getting all over Justin Herbert to the point where the receivers for the Chargers came off the field saying, we didn't even know what you guys were doing on defense. You were confusing us so bad. Now you do that to a bunch of inexperienced rookie wide receivers and a third-year NFL quarterback that doesn't have anybody and losing guys in the middle of the game. So, yes, I would have been happy to see them switch to Davis Mills at halftime, but they did come out of the half and move the football, and then again, Woody Marks fumbled the ball when they were down 8 driving. So the Texans were in that game, and that was a little bit, that MVP candidate in Drake May had his own kind of fumble problems. Now, again, the game was in the sleet and the snow and the rain, and it looked like nasty, nasty conditions to play in. So we did see the turnovers on both sides of the football, but I'll jump half into you that I'm a little worried for C.J. Stroud, but man, get him some healthy bodies around him. Maybe give him some playmakers. Maybe he gets those guys back, and we see the Texans, because that defense is special.
Right.
But they need another guy to make plays on offense.
Hopefully you get Tank Dell back, and you have Nico Collins, and you add another piece there, and maybe that'll be the difference maker. So now the last game, the game that decided who the 4th team was for championship weekend, and that was frigid conditions as well. It was the Rams against the Bears, and I still can hear Tirico, as Williams rolls back, he's to the 40, he's to the 50, throws it into the crowded end zone, and it looked like he threw it away, and then I hear Tirico's voice in my head. He's done it again! He's done it again! And, that was a great play. I think the big question mark there is, should they have gone for 2? You had so much momentum at that point. You're playing against the Rams. For my money, I still think they're the best team left in the playoffs. I think you have the only team that has a Super Bowl winning coach and the only team left that has a Super Bowl winning quarterback, and that's Matt Stafford. But it was a phenomenal game. That late touchdown really helped cover for us. But hey, they're a very young team. I think the future is bright, but this Rams team I think is scary good.
Truth be told, we're both Bear fans, both from Chicago, so hard to separate needs and what you're cheering for. And I think the Bears exceeded expectations. I talked about it last week. Beating the Packers was all they needed to do in this playoff series to be happy, and now go from here looking forward to next year. But with the Rams coming into town and watching that game, for me, the Bears were the better team on the field on Sunday. They were better than the Rams on Sunday. We saw the Rams struggle and beat the Carolina Panthers with 30 seconds left on the clock the week before, and they eked another one out of the Chicago Bears. And when you rewind the tape of that game, Rome Odunze drops a critical touchdown pass. Colson Loveland had, I think, 3 drops that would have given them much better field position or first downs. You can't convert on 3rd and 1 3 times. You fail on 4th and 1, 4th and 4. Multiple occasions. We had a second and short or second long where Caleb Williams runs the football, and all he's got to do is stick the ball out as he's going, and he's got a first down. Instead, we don't get that 3rd and 1. So it's those little things as part of the game that you got to be able to finish on that make the difference of whether you're winning or losing.
Would you agree that the future's bright for them?
Yeah, I'll take the future's bright, but you're a play away, or several plays away from being in an NFC Championship game in Seattle here, in a spot where you didn't expect to be. So 3 interceptions were bad, but those were forced plays down the football field on 4th downs, maybe a DJ Moore misread here or there. I'm excited for them, but again, guys didn't make plays when they had a chance to make plays. Have to commend the defense and what they did. Yep. Controlled Puka Nacua, controlled the ground game, controlled Devontae Adams. I thought that was incredible. And I'm a little shocked as we look forward to the next 2 games. Let's start in the NFC first, then we'll go to the AFC, because the Rams are only a 2.5 point dog here at Seattle. Now, again, we watched these teams play twice this year, with Seattle losing 21-19 in LA. In a game
they could have maybe won.
Sam Darnold threw 4 interceptions. They held Matthew Stafford to 130 yards passing in that game, and they held Puka Nacua to 75 yards receiving in that game. So he did a very good job, but lost because of Sam Darnold's 4 interceptions. Then they went home, and they beat them 38-37 in a crazy game.
There's an asterisk
where the
there,
Seahawks had to come back from 16-point deficit, got a 2-point conversion.
A crazy
that was Zach Charbonnet picked the ball up after the play appeared to be dead. But in the game that they won, they allowed Matthew Stafford to throw for 457 yards, 3 TDs, and Puka Nacua had 12 receptions for 225 yards and 2 of those touchdowns. So they look absolutely amazing against that beat-up San Francisco 49ers team that you wonder, man, how can they only be a 2.5 point favorite against that Ram team? And we talked about it when the playoffs started. The Rams were our highest power-rated team and we actually thought that this game would be maybe a little bit lower, but the way that Seattle's looked and the way that the Rams have struggled kind of over these 2 weeks, I was thinking the game was going to be on 3. I don't know what's going to happen in this game from a live movement standpoint.
I think when you look at the last game, though, when you look at that San Francisco-Seattle game, and Seattle being the number 1 seed, they're at home, they're a 7.5 point favorite. We couldn't keep you guys off the Niners. I mean, we were huge Seahawks fans. So with all those things in place, with no Kittle and all the other injuries they had, and all the positiveness for Seattle, the bettors, you guys, the guests were backing the Niners in that game big time. Although they lost the previous game 13-3. Again, they don't score an offensive touchdown, but the Rams are the much more public team for our market. Seattle doesn't get that same love, and I think maybe that's why you see the number a little bit lower right now. Not that it won't go back up, and you're right. I'm anxious to see what the trend is, but the Rams, for our market and our close proximity to Southern California, really are the more public bet, I think, for our guests.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen in the game,
Same.
and I don't know what's going to go on from a betting standpoint, because I do think that, again, the gift of the number 1 seed, which Seattle earned, they had that bye week the first week, and then they almost got a half a bye week in week 2 of the playoffs with their blowout
that
win over
12th
the
man
Niners.
and that defense is really
and we
good.
saw the Rams struggle at Carolina, a dogfight at the Bears, and now the 3rd straight road week in a row, going to arguably the toughest of these 3 places. Now, again, maybe they get a little bit better than the freeze and wind chill that they had to play in Chicago this past week. But Seattle's normally no gift of a place to go play from a weather standpoint. But again, the bye week for Seattle could have a big to-do with now watching a road-weary Rams team for their 3rd week in a row.
I agree with that, except, again, you're looking at the only team left that has a Super Bowl winning coach and a Super Bowl winning quarterback. So they have the ingredient, and I'm still, you may disagree, but I just have a little hesitation still with Sam Darnold.
Sure.
And
we don't know what the oblique is. He didn't prove that oblique was okay.
Right.
He didn't have to against the Niners. They were able to protect him.
He can get some more rest this week, but I think, looking the way he finished in the playoffs last year, the regular season and the playoffs, and then the 4 interceptions he threw in a game earlier against the Rams this year, there's just a little piece of me that says there is a lot of pressure on Sam Darnold. Now, we know Kenny Walker had the 3 touchdowns against the Niners. He'll be the guy, but you don't have that 2-headed monster now of Charbonnet and Kenny Walker. So a lot more might fall on the shoulders of Sam Darnold, and I just want to see him do it. Maybe he can. There's a little bit of hesitation for me, and I think that's why you see that number where it sits right now.
Well, and I think the other interesting, we don't talk about it enough, and he hasn't really been a big part of this Seahawks offense, but a little bit more last week. We even got a little guy named Cooper Kupp that happened to play for the Rams and now is on the other side with Seattle, and could he be a big part of this game? Because a Cooper Kupp touchdown, those Seattle Seahawks fans would go absolutely nuts if he was to do that against the Rams. And that prop will be available. Look out for A.J. Barner, the tight end for the Seahawks. He had a big game. I think he had 10 receptions and over 100 yards in one of these matchups this year. So if the Seahawks struggle with the running game and the Rams are able to key on Walker with no Charbonnet, and it is going to be Darno having to throw that football. We know Smith-Njigba is the guy that he wants to get that ball to, but don't forget about Kupp, don't forget about Barner, and don't be crazy. If you are going to bet the NFC Championship game, you should be betting nowhere else but the STN Sports app, because we're going to give you a 10% boost on the game, on the money line, on the STN Sports app. It'll be the match of the day, 10% boost, NFC Championship game. You're crazy to bet it anywhere else.
I couldn't agree more. All right, now we're going to talk a little AFC. So, as Jay mentioned earlier, the script got flipped a lot when the news broke after the game that Bo Nix had broke a bone in his foot and isn't going to play. So it's Jared Stidham. He's been in the league 6 years. I think he's been in a total of 20 games in those 6 years. He has 8 interceptions and 8 touchdown passes. And he hasn't played at all this year. However, they're at home. They have one of the best home records in the league at 8-1. They have the altitude. They have the defense. And a Patriot team who played one of the top 10 easiest schedules, not this year, but in the history of the NFL. I know you beat who's in front of you, and other teams have stumbled with lesser teams, but I think in a weird way now there becomes more pressure on the Patriots in this favorite role. I think if it was Bo Nix, you would have seen Denver a small favorite in the game. You now see the other side, the Patriots, a 5.5, 6-point favorite. So the script has really been flipped with the quarterback change. I just don't know what you get with Stidham. I know he's been in the league for a while, and you learn things and you go through practice reps, but no reps at all this year. And I just wonder, is the moment too big, or can he step in and move that offense, and can they be competitive and win?
Well, let's start the conversation with a healthy Bo Nix in the AFC Championship game. We are probably looking at a line that has Denver a 1 or 1.5 point favorite
right,
here at home against the Patriots. So now Bo Nix goes out, and as we sit here today, the Patriots are a 5.5 point favorite in Denver.
It's about a touchdown
so we're talking about a 6 to 6.5 point move without Bo Nix. And I don't know. I personally don't know if it's enough. We haven't seen enough of Jarrett Stidham to say, hey.
That's my question.
They joke about if you want your starting quarterback to stay healthy, just put Jarrett Stidham as the backup, because whoever he's playing behind never got hurt. Well, now Jarrett Stidham's going to get that opportunity. You talked about a couple of the reasons why maybe we should be interested in the Broncos. Is they are a number 1 seed. They did earn it. They
8-1
earned the number 1 seed.
Yep.
Good defense. They just knocked off the Buffalo Bills and were able to tolerate everything that Josh Allen and James Cook were able to give them. And I go back to this Patriot team that we're now seeing the favorite. Do you remember in Week 1 when they lost to the Las Vegas Raiders? So is our Super Bowl representative from the AFC really going to have gotten beaten by the Raiders this year? And you talk about the Patriots was an incredible game, big win against the Chargers, a great win over the Texans this year. The softest schedule in the NFL this year, and now in Week 1 of the playoffs, they got to play the Chargers, who were without 2 offensive linemen and a banged-up team. They then got the gift of playing the Texans with no Nico Collins, no linemen, no Tank Dell, no Joe Mixon, and Dalton Schultz gets hurt. Now they get the gift of traveling to Denver, and Bo Nix is hurt. So if you talk about the gift that keeps on giving, man, the Patriots have fallen into the season upon season. So the line has moved aggressively in their favor. A very, very young team. However, we did see Drake May, who's continues to make that argument from an MVP candidate to be that MVP, but he did turn the ball over a couple times. He has had this little bit of fumble-rooski to him. And whether it's Travion Henderson, who hasn't had those big runs here in the playoffs, Ramondre Stevenson has been really, really good. He still finds, crazy guys, whether it's Douglas or Diggs or Henry. He's finding these guys for touchdowns on bombs. Boutte. So, May continues to get it done both with his arm and his legs. So it is a big weapon that the Broncos are going to have to figure out. But they found a way last week. And we'll see if they can keep it close. And I don't know personally, as the line sits today, does it continue to go up? Does anybody have faith?
Well, it's come down.
It's come down. But who, as we go through the week, it's got to be Patriot money, because I don't know the public money. How are they supposed to have that faith in an unknown here with the Denver Broncos?
Well, I think the key's got to be their defense. If you're the Denver Bronco defense right now with Patrick Surtain, you're like, hey, it's got to come through us. We have to keep this game close. We have to make sure there's no big plays. We have to make sure we're putting pressure on Drake May, and we're causing them to turn the ball over. To me, it's that their stadium is a really tough place to play to. You've got the altitude there. Weather could still be a factor. 8-1 at home, but it's that Bronco D. They need to be the old Orange Crush and come up strong in this game, and that could ultimately be the difference, I think.
Yeah, and we're so excited about these 2 championship games, but I'm already looking forward to
I was going to ask you that.
2 weeks from now.
Why don't you dial us up with a couple of hypotheticals?
Well, the hypotheticals there, but we've already got props available on the app. So if you're looking to bet the big game, overtime, defensive touchdown, exact score, there is so much start already popping in, and we've been adding the SDN Sports Square. So those of you that like playing the Super Bowl
squares are great. Check them out.
We got it on the college game. We got it on these playoff games. Check out the squares. But from a projection standpoint, we've got the Seahawks would be a 3.5 point favorite over the Patriots. The Rams would be a 3-point favorite over the Patriots. And then if we did talk about the Broncos pulling the massive upset, as of right now, not seeing Jarrett Stidham, the Seahawks would be a 9.5 point favorite over the Denver Broncos. and the Rams would be an 8.5-point favorite over the Denver Broncos. However, I caution myself a little bit in that if Jarrett Stidham plays a good game
Right,
and they
that's
go
the
and
key.
beat the New England
Right.
Patriots, and we say, okay, this kid can play,
Right.
the likelihood that those lines are a little bit lower because Stidham's going to prove something in this AFC Championship. But again, that being said,
That's the unknown.
he's going to get a home game this week. He's going to go play potentially in an environment that he's never seen before, and it would be a heck of a thing for this kid. I think what we talked about, Frank Reich is the only quarterback in the history of the NFL to come in and start a game without having to start a game the whole season and win a playoff game. So it has been done. It's not.
And that was a mighty comeback of Frank Reich.
It's not that it's never been done, but good luck to Jarrett Stidham this week, and good luck to everybody going into these two games. Check out the national championship. Get on there for tonight to be able to get that game in. But as we go through the week, look for the prop menu to absolutely explode on both the AFC and NFC championships, and then look for that big game price immediately at the conclusion of the NFC championship. We'll have that big game start to get up for you, and look for those props to be added throughout the week.
And if you guys do come out here, a lot of great drink specials again. $3 beers, $3 shots, $1.99 margaritas, great food offerings. And the key really, I think it's the atmosphere. It's going to any of our books with these big video walls and to hang out with 300 or 400 of your closest friends, rooting with them or against them. Just a fun atmosphere. So for Jason, I'm Chucky. For the Sports Betting Podcast Bookends, powered by STN Sports. As Jay said, good luck, have fun, and we will see you guys next week on Bookends.